Hello. Thank you for stopping in. My name is Reid Reasor. I'm currently running for the United States Senate in the people's seat currently occupied by Senator John Cornyn. Now, before I spend any time talking about the issues or my incumbent's abuse of the Constitution of the United States, I'd like to spend a little bit of time introducing myself. I started in a small town in Pennsylvania, industrial area. I made my way to Texas just as soon as I could, and my route took me first to the Air Force Academy, where I ran athletics and NCAA track there for 4 years, and I graduated with a degree in astronautics. Graduating from there, I went on to pilot training and spent 20 years of my life flying OV-10 aircraft for the first few years, and then this aircraft behind me, the F-15. My first combat operations took us to Nicaragua in 1988, when the communist Nicaraguans invaded the Honduran. Since that time, I've been around the continent, around the world, fought on 3 different continents under 4 different presidents. Along the way, I picked up a master's degree in technology and in 2 years working on PhD, 1 year in education and 1 year in social psychology. I had the honor and privilege of retiring as the commander of an elite air-to-air weapons evaluation squadron at Tyndall Air Force Base, Florida. Currently, I'm a small business owner here in Austin, Texas. I run Idea Corps, which is a computer animation company. I'm an adjunct professor where I teach computer animation in the local universities. And I spend a good part of my time volunteering for high school kids, teaching them physics in a homeschool cooperative. If you are not deeply involved in your high school and your school of your children, then you need to pull your kids out of your schools. They definitely have a subversive action going on there, and we need to be heavily involved in that. I work with the Texas legislature on higher education reform bills and K-12 reform bills, and I'd like to praise our Texas legislators and Dan Patrick and the senators there and our congressmen that have banned Common Core, returned more control locally so that creativity and curiosity can be restored to our educational system. In the local community, I'm busy with the homeless. I work with crisis pregnancy centers, and I spend a good amount of my time with my #1 issue, and that's inner city decay and poverty that is consuming our country right now. So people ask me, why are you running for the United States Senate? Well, I've been around the world many times. I've seen many cultures. I've spent time with other people, and it amazes me that everywhere I go, I hear praises and respect for us, and praises and respect for the United States Constitution. Do you know the most foreign studied document in the world is the United States Constitution outside of religious texts? Because our Constitution provides 2 very unique aspects of freedom that have never been tried before in the history of the world. Rome gave it a little bit of a shot until the Caesars took power, and then they never gave it back. But our Constitution, our founding fathers, says there's 2 aspects of freedom that you will never have challenged. First is that the central government of the United States, the federal government, may not ever take power, authority, legislation, and actions that the states do not willingly yield to it. Now, after the states have ratified it and said, yes, we agree that you are now going to handle our borders and immigration, the federal government is supreme in that law. But until the states ratify it and yield it, the 10th Amendment says that all of those rights are reserved to the states and the people. So the federal government of the United States may never grant power for itself. It can't do it. We have to yield it. The second thing that the rest of the world studies is our inalienable Bill of Rights. If you don't think that this is a special prize, we need to understand the cost of it. 700,000 people have shed their blood and ensure that the Bill of Rights not only applies to everyone, but the 14th Amendment that the Republicans ensured that every minority had access to the Bill of Rights. So we need to understand that these 2 very unique aspects unleashed something unique in the history of the world, and that is creativity, curiosity, and innovation, and determination. With those things combined, we have become the most powerful economic, social, military, industrial power in the world in only 240 years. The rest of the world marvels at what we've achieved. Now, oddly, people say, well, that sounds pretty bad that America's so successful, because people don't understand that when we generate wealth, we don't take it from anywhere else. We Americans are the most generous people in the world. 62% of all charitable contributions come from us. The top 50 charities in the world, according to Forbes magazine, come from the United States. Even though our workforce only equates to 2% of the entire world's population, we provide 23% of everything the rest of the world consumes in the ways of goods and services. We also invent Most things that help wealth and health come from us. So we are a generous people, a kind people, and we actually reach out and help other folks. So what I'm running against and why I am upset is because our freedoms, those two very special freedoms, have been infringed upon and almost completely canceled. Now people come to me and go, well, you conservatives started that. George Bush was the one who started that, and I have to agree with that. I love George Bush. I fought under George Bush. I'd die for George Bush. If he showed up at my door and said, Reid, I need you to do a mission for me. I need you to help save our country. I'd say, yes, sir, let's go. But if you were to turn back to George Bush and go, sir, you illegally took something that was not yours to take. You took the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution of the United States with the Patriot Act, and you shouldn't have signed it. And I think if you were to set him down, he'd admit it. In fact, we need to reverse that policy and give you back your security in your papers, in your person, and your personal effects. The Fourth Amendment says without justifiable probable cause, they cannot penetrate your privacy. That's what it says. Right now, we have 800 fusion centers around the United States, 2 of them right here in Austin, designed to spy on you. It's illegal, it's immoral, and it's wrong. And our Senator Cornyn voted for them. Now people say, all right, yes, George Bush, he started it, and he did open the candy jar, but right now those folks in D.C. are drunk with sugary power. We do not have a working Bill of Rights right now, folks. I have to say, we don't have a First Amendment. They're working on killing the Second Amendment. The Fourth Amendment is gone. The Fifth Amendment's been violated. The Sixth Amendment of indefinite detention has been violated. Your Eighth Amendment, your Ninth Amendment, and your 10th Amendment have been violated. So much so that you can even say our Bill of Rights are gone. So people say, why are you so upset? Well, I'm upset because I took an oath. I took an oath that doesn't expire, and that is to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Right now, we have a domestic threat to the Constitution of the United States. And I'm going to label them the they, the them. Those are the ones on the far left. Those are the ones that are the globalists that want our country to become just a state in this global government. Rest assured, under the global government, you will not have those two special rights. The global government will take whatever power it wants, and it will violate your rights whenever they want. Our founding fathers are very smart people. They're very smart students of violent history, and they're very smart students of tyranny. And these Bill of Rights was almost the breaking point of us ever coming to have a constitution in the first place. 700,000 people have paid for these Bill of Rights. So when somebody takes them, such as our Senator Cornyn, who illegally voted down the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution of the United States, Senator Rand Paul said, we're going to take a vote. Here we are, senators. Here it is. Here's the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. How many of you senators support it? 12. 12 senators stood up and supported their own oath. 82 of them said no, and the other ones didn't vote. So you have 82 senators who violated Article 5 that says you cannot take the power and you cannot illegally spy on American people. John Cornyn is one of those 82 senators that illegally voted down the Fourth Amendment of the Constitution of the United States. Right now, we already are a socialist country. I'm sorry, I have to bark in and say those people are against socialism. Karl Marx said the gifts and talents of the few should take care of the needs of the many. Right now, we only have 42% of our people working, supporting the rest. 13 states have more people on welfare than they do working. The only reason we don't look worse than the Great Depression is because our federal government, our Fed, outside of the federal government, the Fed is borrowing money from ourselves and other nations to feed people. My number one issue is inner city decay. And we have to step out and go, yes, Senator Cornyn, you are part of federal lawlessness. That's my first point against you, sir. My second point against you is you are not leading. You are not looking at what's happening around our country. Now, I'm going to show some slides over here about every state, and you will see that every area that is blue is a city screaming for help. And what it means is that we are deaf to what's happening in our cities. What's happening in our cities is that we have educational failure. Now, teachers up to the principals do a fantastic job. Truly, they are frustrated. Do you know that 50% of all teachers quit within 5 years because they're so frustrated with the system that does not allow them to teach, get to know their children, and they're overworked? It is so incredibly simple to realize that you can't have in these schools more than 10 to 12 per classroom. Social psychology says that if you have more than 15 in a room, in a group, there's a propensity for evil to come in there because of anonymity. You have to resource the classroom, resource the teacher, resource the principal, local control, and get out of the way. That's how to save our inner city schools. Right now, people go, no, school's fine. No, they're not fine. Detroit, 73% dropout rate. Philadelphia, 53%. Pittsburgh, 48%. Erie, 42%. Here in Austin, Texas, 36% of our inner city kids drop out of high school. Run down to San Antonio, you're talking 42%. Zip your way up to Dallas, you're talking the same type of numbers. All across our inner cities are failing our kids. Now, I have a wonderful friend at the Air Force Academy who's the director of mission there, and he said, Reid, even when we get a 4.0 from Brooklyn, even when we get a top-of-the-line kid with a 4.0 in AP classes, just the basic curriculum at the Air Force Academy is too much for most of these young kids to handle. They have to have tutoring, they have to go back down to the prep school. We truly had the best education system in the world in the 1960s with small 10 to 12 classrooms, local control. We spent less and we were the best. Right now our education system has gone from first in the world to worst in the industrial nations while spending the most. Now what I mean by spending the most is U.S. teachers are the highest paid teachers in the world. So we've gone from first to worst while spending the most. And that's what control does. Now liberals don't get upset when I say it's a liberal philosophy. No, it is control. When you control something, you destroy creativity, curiosity, innovation, and determination, just the foundations of our success. And when you strangle education, that's what happens to it. That's why these kids are failing. That's why they're dropping out of high school. Because you have a 30 classroom size and the teacher cannot have a relationship. Education is about relationships. Just ask any educator. But the other part of this is if they say, well, okay, education may not be for me, where is my artisan? Where's my industry? Where are the jobs that I can step into at $50 to $60 an hour that my unions can come and provide me training and apprenticeship work and set me 3 years to become a master electrician? Those jobs are gone because our federal government, through the Environmental Punitive Agency, has wiped out an entire quarter of our economy. Now people say, we're clean. No, we're not. The green people who have shut all these industries down have actually polluted the world more by shipping them overseas and losing control of the emissions. So here's really what's happening, and our Senate needs to be smart enough to understand this. We ship our industry, it goes to China, Bolivia, Venezuela. They say, I'm going to pollute. They've actually said it. You guys got rich polluting, so we're going to pollute. China has 20 of the 30 worst polluted cities in the world are in China. The CO2 emissions from China are so high that Russia says, you guys have polluted so much, you're actually causing global cooling. And they say that because NASA has reversed their position that CO2 causes warming. They actually say CO2 has caused cooling. So I'd like you to consider who I am. Take a look around our website. You'll find my top 5 issues right over here. What they're going to be is inner city decay is the first, federal lawlessness. Then you're going to find debt and currency collapse, as well as the economy, and our culture war. Those things all together will probably mean the end of our country. Any one of those things by themselves could mean the destruction of our country, but all those 5 things need to be addressed and need to be worked against. The other part is you can come over here and look at every one of my federal issues and my positions, my state issues, as well as the international issues. I thank you very much for checking in today. I'd like to invite you to evaluate who I am, what I stand for, and hopefully you'll find me favorable to be your next U.S. Senator from Texas. God bless us, blessings on you, blessings on our country, and blessings on humanity. We are the leader in the free world for freedom, and as soon as our light goes out, so does the rest of the world.